that the producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platforms. Kind of tough.
And there is no resolution in sight for the Walt Disney Company when it comes to Snow White 2025 at the box office. This is exactly why Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, is in pure panic mode over not just the Rachel Zegler backlash, but the entire backlash surrounding this movie in general.
Disney's live-action Snow White remake was supposed to be a bold, modern reimagining, but now it's being completely erased. Just months before its scheduled release, Disney has quietly pulled the film from its 2024 lineup, and in a stunning twist, they've just announced a new Snow White movie, one that completely replaces the version starring Rachel Zegler.
Just how once trusted critics that shilled for the Disney Company all the time, even they are beginning to turn their back against them. That's how bad this movie truly is. Even if you look at the IMDb rating score, that's when you really know how terrible this movie is and how it really hit rock bottom.
So what happened? How did a movie with a massive Disney budget, a star-studded cast, and years of production turn into a full-blown disaster? And why is Disney suddenly pretending this version doesn't even exist? Well, the truth is, this remake was doomed from the start. From controversial casting decisions to outrageous PR missteps and a fan revolt that Disney never saw coming, everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. Super weird. So we didn't do that this time.
After one hell of a PR tour, Disney's live-action Snow White is finally, I know, you were wondering.
That despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them.
She's a great actress.
That at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Wow. The ego on this girl is ridiculous.
Wow. And now, Zegler's career might never recover. But before we get into the full-scale meltdown, let's rewind, because the warning signs were there from the beginning. When Disney first announced they were remaking Snow White, it should have been a safe bet. This was the movie that started it all, the first full-length animated feature in history, the foundation of Disney's empire. But instead of treating it with care and respect, Disney decided to rewrite the entire story, and that's where the trouble began. At first, people were excited. Rachel Zegler had just starred in West Side Story, a role that got her tons of Hollywood buzz. But then she started talking about the movie, and let's just say it didn't go well. In interview after interview, Zegler bashed the original Snow White, calling it outdated, problematic, and weird. She even mocked the classic love story, saying there's a big focus on her love story, with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. We didn't do that this time. Wait, what? The prince in the original wasn't a stalker, he was a classic fairy tale character. But instead of respecting that, Zegler made it clear that her version of Snow White wouldn't even have a prince at all.
And you have parents looking at Disney being like, what are you doing, guys? Like, this is supposed to be a place where magic happens, and all you're doing is indoctrinating kids, and you're having this person be the poster child of the party. Look no further than what Disney is doing with their woke DEI agenda.
Tell me if this is attractive to you. Like, does this, imagine you invested into her being the face of the movie and she's the main character and she's trying to promote the movie. Would this make you want to go watch the movie when she's starring in it and she's the main character?
And fans, they weren't happy. Disney had already been losing audience trust with its live-action remakes. The Little Mermaid underperformed, Mulan bombed, and people were tired of Disney rewriting classic stories. So when Zegler made those comments, it was like pouring gasoline on a fire. Within hours, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube erupted with outrage. Fans accused Zegler of disrespecting the legacy of Disney's first princess. Even longtime Disney supporters were saying, if you hate Snow White so much, why did you take the role?
Destroyed hundreds of millions of dollars worth of IP for Disney, but she also has destroyed her career and the careers of anybody who worked on the movie. The producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platforms. Kind of tough.
You could look at the fact that she has been sabotaging this film for years at this point, all in this sort of pursuit of entitlement.
And it didn't stop there. Old clips surfaced of Zegler rolling her eyes at the idea of Snow White being a romantic fairy tale. Her interviews started getting ratioed, meaning the dislikes and negative comments far outnumbered any support. And the memes, they were brutal. But the worst part, Disney didn't see it coming. Behind the scenes, executives were in shock. They had no idea how badly fans would react, and by the time they realized the damage, it was already too late, because what happened next made everything even worse. The backlash against Rachel Zegler wasn't just a minor controversy. It turned into a full-scale disaster that Disney never recovered from. At first, Disney tried to ignore it, hoping the internet would move on, but the outrage kept growing, and soon, it wasn't just angry fans talking. Disney had already invested millions in Snow White merchandise, dolls, clothing, books, expecting it to be a massive hit. But the second those products hit shelves, nobody wanted them. Toys were sitting on clearance racks within weeks. Big retailers like Walmart and Target started slashing prices, trying to get rid of the unsold inventory. Even Disney's own theme park saw zero demand for Snow White merchandise. And this was before the movie even came out.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can.
Disney had a serious problem. They were losing money fast, and their biggest fears were about to come true. Then came the first test screenings. Leaked reports claimed audiences hated it. The story felt preachy instead of magical. The songs were forgettable. And the entire film felt like a cheap, soulless cash grab. Once the official reviews hit Rotten Tomatoes, it was even worse. Critics tried to be polite, calling it a bold reimagining. But fans, they weren't buying it. Audience scores plummeted, and Snow White's opening weekend was one of the worst in Disney history.
Disney responded by scaling back the premiere. I don't know that anyone really showed up to the premiere. The Rotten Tomatoes reviews are looking pretty bad, and they did, it seems like they tried to tweak a few things, but this movie is bad.
And at this point, Disney finally realized the truth. This wasn't just a bad movie. It was a reputational disaster. If they didn't fix this fast, they weren't just losing money, they were losing trust. So Disney made a drastic decision. They scrapped the entire project and started over. But the way they did it? Even more shocking. With Snow White turning into one of the biggest PR disasters in Disney history, the company had two choices: double down and try to salvage the film, erase it completely and start fresh. And in an unprecedented move, Disney chose option 2. Instead of announcing a delay or reworking the existing movie, Disney made the decision to pretend like it never happened. They quietly removed it from the 2024 schedule, stopped promoting it on social media, and even pulled official marketing materials. Even more shocking, Rachel Zegler, who was originally the face of the film, completely disappeared from the conversation. Disney executives reportedly cut all ties, avoiding any association with her to protect the reboot. Then, Disney dropped the bombshell announcement. A brand new Snow White movie was in development, one that completely erased the Rachel Zegler version and instead brought back the magic fans had been asking for. No forced modern messages, no updated storylines, just classic Disney fairy tale magic. And get this, they're bringing back the original love story. The dwarfs are returning. The classic songs are being restored. For many fans, this felt like a massive victory, a sign that Disney was finally listening, but others weren't convinced. Was this a genuine return to Disney's roots, or was it just another corporate move to win back fans' trust? And what about Rachel Zegler? When Disney silently erased the Snow White remake, it wasn't just the movie that disappeared. It was Rachel Zegler's career that took the biggest hit. Just a year before, Zegler was on the fast track to superstardom. She was handpicked by Steven Spielberg for West Side Story, cast in big-budget blockbusters like Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and positioned as Disney's next big princess. But after the Snow White disaster, something strange started happening. Suddenly, Hollywood stopped calling. Instead of landing new roles, Zegler began fading from the spotlight, and the few movies she did appear in, they flopped. Shazam, Fury of the Gods was a box office disaster, making back less than half of its budget. Her upcoming films, no major buzz, no big press tours. And worse, Disney isn't mentioning her at all. Before the Snow White scandal, Zegler was being heavily promoted as one of Disney's new leading ladies. But now, no more Snow White press events, no more appearances at Disney conventions, no more hype about her future with the studio. For a company that usually backs its stars, Disney's silence was deafening. Hollywood insiders even claim that casting directors are hesitant to work with her now, worried that she's become too controversial. And if that's true, Rachel Zegler's career might never fully recover. With the old remake scrapped, Disney is now on a mission to fix its reputation. But the big question is, can they actually pull it off? After years of failed live-action remakes, Disney knows they can't afford another flop. That's why this time, they're going all in to make sure this new Snow White is a success. According to inside sources, Disney is making major changes to the new version, bringing back classic animators to recapture the old Disney magic, consulting original Disney storytellers to make sure the movie feels authentic, even considering hand-drawn animation elements, something fans have been begging for. For years, Disney has been criticized for changing too much in their live-action remakes, but this time, they're promising to stay faithful to the original Snow White story. The romance is back, the dwarfs are back, the iconic songs are back. In other words, this isn't just a new version, it's a reputational restoration project. The stakes are massive, not just financially, but symbolically. If this new Snow White succeeds, it could prove that Disney is capable of listening to fans and returning to what made their movies special. But if it fails, it could officially mark the end of Disney's golden era, proving that even their most iconic stories aren't safe from modern Hollywood's mistakes. So what do you think? Is Disney finally learning from its failures? Or is this just another desperate attempt to win back trust? The Snow White disaster isn't just about one bad remake, it's part of a much bigger problem. For years, Disney has been struggling to connect with audiences, and their box office failures keep piling up. But this time, they didn't just lose money, they lost trust. Think about it. The Little Mermaid was controversial and underperformed. Lightyear was a massive flop. Indiana Jones 5 lost nearly $100 million, and now, Snow White, a movie that should have been a guaranteed success, is being erased from existence. It all comes down to one thing. Audiences are tired of Hollywood rewriting classics instead of respecting them. Disney thought they could change the story, mock the original, and push their own version of Snow White. But fans pushed back. And for the first time in a long time, it looks like Disney had no choice but to listen. So, the real question is, what happens now? Will Disney truly return to its roots, or will this just be another PR stunt? Will Rachel Zegler bounce back from this, or has Hollywood quietly blacklisted her? And most importantly, are audiences finally taking back control over the stories they love? One thing's for sure, Hollywood is watching. Because if Disney can fall this hard, any studio can. What do you think? Is this the wake-up call Disney needed, or is it already too late?